Okay, great. So we're recording now. So please put your camera, your view on gallery view. Please show yourself on camera as much as you can. And everybody, please agree that we can share this video publicly by putting your thumbs up or verbal yes.
Yes, from Mariana.
Yes, from Tatiana.
Yes, from ICT.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you so much. Let me start by just again thanking everybody for being in action, sending out emails, taking it to another level. We're doing it now. We're starting to get in the game. So I'm excited for us being on the edge of a lot of greatness here. Excited to see where we're going to go with all of this. So let me throw it right over to Cassidy and take it away, Cassidy. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so just to echo Jared, thanks everybody for sending out emails and really pushing for HubSpot to start, our contacting with these career services office. It's been awesome to just see everybody start reaching out. So let me share the agenda really quick. So first I just wanted to touch base again along the lines of the email and see, I know I had shared in the executive team meeting, I have not received any responses yet from the emails that I sent out. Has anybody else received any responses or anything back just yet?
I received one response from, let me look at it.
Great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
From the University of South Carolina. But the thing is, even though we sent one, I think they were on stage 4 or stage 3, I kind of don't remember. But no, it was stage 4 because we sent them the document that had all of the, reasons why we were denied. But they replied back and said, "Thank you for reaching out with this information. It appears that your account was declined for having a residential address for the company. For all party safety, we do not approve companies with a residential address." And this was even though that we did send a message stating why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've talked about this before, and for a while I thought it was probably better just to be upfront about the fact that we weren't operating a physical business. But I think it sounds like for those schools that they would rather us have a address at a UPS store, than at a residential business, which doesn't necessarily make sense to me. But if that's what they want, we can do that for them, right? So I think that was kind of an epiphany that I've had through this process. So it seems like for those, we should go ahead and set up some remote address. I looked into it a few months ago. I'll look into it again and set it up. But basically, like UPS store, or FedEx store, or whatever, have this service where you can give an address. It's not just a PO box, right? It's an address like at a mall, essentially, where you're giving that address, and that's now your business address. So it sounds like for those types of schools, because it sounds like it's going to be more than just that one, that we need to do that to satisfy it. Does that sound like the solution to you guys? Does that sound like what we should do, or do you guys have different ideas?
Sounds like a good idea to me. I didn't know that was something you could do. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I wasn't really thinking. I had known, because I had known, that there's these shared office spaces, right, where you can do a fractional lease kind of thing, but those are expensive, right? You're paying hundreds of dollars a month still, or whatever. You get a conference room, all that sort of stuff, a receptionist, whatever you get the business services. But yeah, then there's these other like scaled down places where it's just receiving your mail type of thing, right? And where again, obviously, the post office has that option, but only as a PO box, right? And then a lot of these schools will say, we need a physical address. The PO box won't do. And so then this is kind of like the hybrid for that, is the UPS store, one of these that says, you get a real address, and, so I guess we should at least try it and let them see if that works for them, right? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I agree. I think we should definitely try it out and then possibly send it out later.
Yeah. Okay, that sounds good. So let's make a note of that in the minutes, that we'll get that set up relatively soon, and then change the template for that we've now got an address if you think this one is cool. at the I won't go there. Okay, cool. So that's great that you got a response, Tatiana, and we'll look forward to the other ones. I've been thinking, because we haven't been getting that many responses yet, that we don't need to worry so much about the portion control that we were worrying about before, not wanting to email too many all at once. It seems like maybe we can just go ahead and email everybody at this point if we're not going to get that many responses, because like we've talked about, we want to be working the rejections, because as we've discussed, that's going to boost our reputation score, which is going to help get more approvals, because we know that part of the problem right now is our reputation score is in the dumper, right? So we want to keep working that and get that better and better. That way the new ones that we're reaching out to won't necessarily have to be worried about our reputation score or what have you once we get it boosted up. But as we've discussed, in addition to all the ones that have been rejected that we're following up with now, we potentially want to reach out to new schools that we haven't reached out before. We want to focus on different types of specialized schools, like video production or our business or our website development, what have you. Also reaching out to our existing networks of schools, like we talked about, all of your schools. As we know, Ohio State University right now is waiting for us to send them a job description, job posting. So I know we're going to talk about the job postings and that sort of thing in the meeting still. But I just wanted to kind of remind you guys that all the schools that we're working with in HubSpot right now are still just a small, percentage of all of the schools out there and all that we can be reaching out to and connecting with. So let's get through all of these as quickly and efficiently as we can, and keep working on all the other ones as well. Sound like a good plan? Okay, great.
I had a quick question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, should I hold back on responding to them, or should I respond to them saying, oh, we'll be working on it to get the address, or should I just wait until we have the actual address and send them our address?
Let's that's a good question. So I don't think, well, it's probably going to be next week, I'm thinking, before I can get to it. So I don't know, you guys tell me. If we were going to reply to them, let's say next Monday or Tuesday, do you think better for us to send a reply today, thanking them and letting them know we'll get back to them, or just get back to them the first time next Monday or Tuesday? What do you guys think?
I think a reply, at least just acknowledging that we received their email and we're working on it, would be best, just to keep that communication open. Like if we don't say anything for a week, they might sort of brush it off as like, well, we sent something to you last week and you're just now getting back, even though obviously we'd be working on it. But I don't know if they'd know that in the interim. I think it'd be good to send something that just said, thank you for your feedback. We will, be working on correcting this and follow up soon, or something like that.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think what you can say, if you want, Tatiana, is yeah, thank you for replying, and we're looking at options for how we can best resolve this, or something like that. That sound good? You guys have better wording? Somebody want to come up with some better wording? I know that wasn't perfect. You can adjust the wording if you want, Tatiana, but you get the idea of it. So does that work for everybody?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Great.
Okay. Jumping back into the agenda. So the next thing I wanted to touch on, I know in the chat last week towards the end, there were some discrepancies as far as us assigning ourselves owners of the contacts, but not the companies. So we just wanted to see if we could set, a due date, as it were, of when we can go in. I think it's going to be really simple. It's just going and looking at who you've assigned yourself as a contact, seeing what university they're affiliated with, and just making sure that you also assign them to yourself as in the company section as well. So that we don't have any confusion about that in the future. They shouldn't take too long. So Wednesday? Does that sound good to everybody to just go in and adjust it for Wednesday?
Yep, that sounds good to me.
Awesome. Isa, will you be able to do it by Wednesday?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
You want to set a time, Cassidy, by the end of Wednesday or by when?
Yeah, I say by the end of Wednesday. So I guess Thursday morning, Wednesday night before then.
Okay, perfect. Great.
It shouldn't be hard because we've already assigned ourselves the contact. So it's just going in and seeing what university is affiliated with that contact, and then just assigning that company to yourself as well, so that we maintain that consistency, like you said, Jared.
Great. Thank you.
And then jumping back in. So just want to take a little bit of time to talk about Handshake. I know we were just sort of talking about the job posting. So if we want to get into that a little bit, Jared, and get an update on that. I know I still need to go in and put some comments into that, but I sort of just wanted to see your thoughts and where we can all best help, and if we want to get a deadline for that as well.
Yeah, I probably should have, been even more clear last week. I was thinking about that, is that I sent some message last week saying, let's not have this just on my plate. Let's, work on this as a group. And so just like I kind of, said, let's not rely on me for the templates. Let's have the group put it together. I want to do the same thing with the team here. I want to provide input, but I don't want us waiting on me for, the job descriptions. Of course, I need to sign off on final, but I want, the team as a team to come up with the job descriptions. And in particular, so we're talking about the public health one, or at least one, the generalized one, and then all the specialized ones. And then this is the part that I really, personally want to get into the most tonight. I don't know if you want to maybe save this till the end to do more brainstorming on it, or whether you want to do all the brainstorming on it now, or what do you prefer, Cassidy?
I think we can do it now, because this is really, the bulk of what I have is this handshake conversation tonight, and then just a little bit more about following up with the QR code and things. But this is sort of the meat of the meeting, as it were. So I think we can do it now.
Yeah, that's what I feel too. So one thing is, you guys heard me in the, you heard Tatiana mention in the executive team meeting that we talked about in the business team meeting today, that the business team is going to create a business team job posting to basically hand over to the recruitment team. And I want to have each team do that. Actually, I forgot to mention that in the executive team meeting. Let's add that to the executive team chat. Maybe Cassidy, maybe you can send a message into the executive team chat, because I want to have recruitment team, or not recruitment, the research team do that, production team, outreach team. I want each team to basically, create something where they're trying to recruit people onto their team, right? And then for us to post all of those job postings on our website, as well as provide them to these career services offices, right? So that's one level. So let's look at it maybe like 3 different levels of job postings. We have public health, non-public health, general, right? So those two like overall job postings. Then we have specialized job postings for each particular team, which again, maybe not every one of those job postings makes its way onto Handshake, but they at least make their way onto our website so that somebody that's browsing our website can go to the production team and then they can see what the job posting is for a production team member and see if they want to apply to be a production team member, right? And then lastly are all of the other specializations that we've talked about, like, you know, somebody that is a recruitment specialist, or someone that's a project management specialist, or website development, or video production, or whatever it is, that we also have to really, you know, get these descriptions, you know, ironed out and then posted. And we talked about in the past, you know, trying to figure out how these different offices want, you know, if we're gonna have like 20 different job postings on our website, you know, how many of them do the Career Services Office want us posting on Handshake, right? And I think what we can do, what I'd like to do, I want to see what you guys think about, we talked about in the past, set up a meeting with Amy from Ohio State University, you know, who just reached out to us last week, see if we can set up a meeting with her either later this week or maybe early next week to ask her some of those questions and maybe identify another, you know, career service office or two that, you know, would also, you know, have a sit down with us and help us answer some of these and help us kind of craft this, because, you know, I think we want to go ahead and write all these specialty job descriptions anyways, because we want to have them on our website anyways. But I think we're still at a little bit of a loss as to, you know, if we're gonna have video production and website development and on and on and on and on, are these career services offices, do they want us submitting 8 different, you know, job postings to be posted all at once? Or do they feel like we're abusing the system when we do that? You know, that's the last thing we want to do, right? Is have them start feeling like we're taking advantage of the system or trying to, or whatever, right? So that's why I want to make sure that we're really understanding how they want it. But having said that, you know, let's just focus, at least first of all, on getting all of these done. And we have, you know, a starting point for a lot of them, and we can go back into it, because I'm pretty sure Mariana never saw it in our meetings. I don't remember when the last time we looked at it, that if ISA2 saw it. I think Cassidy and Tatiana, you guys worked on them, the, you know, the various different job posting, all the specialized ones at the bottom of our job posting. Should I pull that up, or do you want to pull that up, Cassidy? Or why don't you pull that up while I'm talking? You know where it is, right? What I'm talking about, our non-public health that has all the other ones down at the bottom, but also, there is some, well, I guess that's the finalized versions at the moment of those. And I think that, again, most, if not all of them, could probably still use some work in terms of the things that we can add. And that's where, again, I think, to be honest with you, I don't know the best process for us to get from where we are to getting these out the door. So I'm totally up for me not, you know, controlling this at all and letting Cassidy, you and the rest of the team sort out how to do this. I just know that we need to have all of these job, you know, descriptions working for us, right? We need people who are showing up at least at our website to be able to know, what are we looking for in a website programmer? What are we looking for in a recruitment specialist? What are we offering to people in exchange for them showing up to be this, you know, that sort of thing. Like, why do they want to join our team? You know, all of that. So to me, that whole world is like, I know what I want out of it. And I really just want, you know, the team to figure out how we accomplish that and let you guys do it, rather than me, you know, try to figure out and tell you what to do. Let's just have the team figure it out and let's just get it done. You know, this week is kind of the way that I'm seeing it. I would really like to set a target of, for the main job postings, that we had posted before, the new updated version of the public health one and the general one, I'd really at the latest like to have those, posted on Handshake by Wednesday at the latest. I think we really need to get them out this week sooner rather than later. And for all the other specialized ones, video production, website development, all of that, I'd like to have all of that done by, I think, Friday at the latest, if we can as a team. And then again, throughout the week, connect with Amy and maybe some other specific career services offices that we could target. But probably the best ones to begin with would probably be the ones that we've hosted practicum and capstone students already, right? Like University of Miami, Emory University, Drexel University. There's probably another one or two that I'm not thinking of that we can, we've already essentially got a foot in the door because they know that we've served their students basically, right? So they might be a little bit more ready to jump on a Zoom meeting with us and give us some feedback. What do you guys think about that?
My main question for the deadlines for Wednesday, because I know you said you wanted us to have the postings by then. Will that be enough time for us to get the feedback of whether or not we should post multiple, or are you just saying for just like the public health and the general one, and then potentially adding more postings later if schools like let us know that they want, for instance, a specific posting for video production? Like, are we just trying to at least get the three main like general ones out, or two, the public health and the non-public health ones by Wednesday? Is that the goal?
Yeah, I would say it's a really good question because you're right. We can't really expect that much feedback before Wednesday. So let's say that we definitely want to get the public health one out by Wednesday, right? Because that's pretty straightforward. And then the non-public health, I think would be great to get the feedback. So I think from my perspective, it's like, how quickly can we, let's just start with Amy and just trust that whatever feedback she's going to give us is going to at least get us on the right track. At least she'll tell us what Ohio State is open to. I think if we can, send her an email tomorrow morning asking if she is able to meet with us, in a Zoom meeting for like Thursday, or well, it can even be Wednesday for me. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whenever you guys are available, anybody that wants to be in on that meeting. What do you guys think about that?
I think that's a good idea. I don't know how much availability I'd have this week just because work has been really crazy and I've been staying unexpectedly late. So I don't want to commit and then end up having to stay late and then not be able to join. But I definitely think that's a good idea, especially if we already have a relationship with them, that they'll probably give us some solid feedback as far as, something that is probably generally applicable to other schools and how they would want to use Handshake.
Yeah, and I think, also as ISA2 has shown us, I think there's a real, fertile ground for recruitment from Ohio State just by itself. So I think that, if we go deeper with Amy and start to get some feedback and start to work with her, that we can start to, get into newsletters and get to other, sources and that sort of thing. ISA2, do you have any insight or thoughts about, working with Amy in particular, or any of the other types of things we're talking about around Ohio State?
So Amy is really a great person. She has helped me a lot over because I was trying to find an internship last year, and she kept on constantly sending me emails or like job posting that she found. So she's really great at that, and I know she's going to help a lot of students get internships. So I really think that she's going to really help us out with recruiting people out of Ohio State.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. And that's the thing, is that I think that, you guys saw the 2-minute video that I shared with you, and now you saw that we're going to get this 11-minute video cut down to 3 minutes. I think that people like Amy are going to get really excited about some of these videos, or, our top 5 breakthroughs video when we get that one finalized. I think that what we're doing is different enough and interesting enough. And we pretty much saw this in the, the presentation to the University of Miami today is that the students were really getting like how breakthrough this is. And I'm really curious to see, I felt like I didn't do the best job of converting the interest and enthusiasm in the class into potential applicants. I'm not sure if we're going to get applicants from today. It was a little weird because some of them were very enthusiastic and I could see where they could be showing up and being very interested in joining the project. But at the same time, like when I was giving out my email address and stuff like that, I didn't see like people writing it down, and that sort of thing. I had, the way Dr. Brown did it is I was up on a big screen in front of the classroom. It was really interesting because it was a physical class with no Zoom participants, which I was kind of shocked about. I thought that even physical classes would have a number of students that were Zooming in that wanted to be at home or whatever, but this was apparently a in-person only class because there was no Zoom students. So it was just me and the class on Zoom, and then Katie when she joined in. And so I was up on the big screen in front of the class. And then when I was speaking, Dr. Brown turned the camera around. So I was looking out at the classroom as I was speaking to them. So I could kind of see, them and them nodding their heads and that sort of thing. So we'll see, if today's translates into any new students inquiring. I looked right after the class and hadn't seen any online submissions or anything. I'll look again later to see if there's that. But also, again, this is why I want to throw it out to the team, because just like with the QR codes, here's a chance where we could ask Dr. Brown to send, this follow-up, and especially our job postings, whatever, we can have Dr. Brown send to the class so that he could say, okay, Jared mentioned there's opportunities now. They have this new job posting, for any of you that are interested. So again, what do we put together that when we have somebody like Dr. Brown or like Kiki at FIU or, these different people that are willing to share what we are, want to share, what do we have that's compelling? Not just job description, but fancy job description with pictures and looks nice and, or videos that can be forwarded, or, what does our package look like? And to me, that's part of what we've been a little bit stuck on with the QR code chat as well, is like, we could have shared, and we still can, but I was curious to see whether anybody here was going to share those videos that I shared earlier today, and it's that type of thing. It's like we're creating new content all the time. There's all kinds of things that we can be sharing with people to get them engaged and interested. And I think as a team, we need to take ownership of that a little bit more and really figure out, like, what is the first thing that we send to people based on whether they respond to that or not? What is the next thing that we send based on whether they respond to that or not? What is the next thing right? And have some kind of like step-by-step process of relationship development, where it's not just like, hey, check out this video, and if you're interested, let us know. I mean, it's a good start, but we've got to get quite a bit more sophisticated than that, I think, right? And lead people through a path. I'm going to start to diverge into the QR code now because I know it's on the agenda and it's very relevant to what I'm talking about, which is that, how do we, I think in particular for the people in the chat right now, we should probably say, we're ramping up our interviews this coming week. So we're interested in knowing which of you might be interested in being interviewed for a position. Please go to this page to enter, the different things that you're looking for or whatever. Somehow we have to inspire them to want to go beyond the chat. That's the thing is, okay, we got them in the chat. Now, where do we want to get them to? What do we want them to do? We want them to fill out a form online, or we want them to send us an email. What do we do to have them take a next step that allows us to take a next step that allows us to go somewhere with this? Is everybody following me on that? Any thoughts about that? Let's stick in the QR code since we're on that for the moment, but you guys see that it's, similar in terms of, you know, where we want to go with the career services offices and what we want to provide to them and where we want to send them on the website with the different links, and certainly, you know, revamping our whole, you know, join us page. You know, we should tear that down immediately and put what we really want there. So what do we really want there, you know, type of thing. I mean, it was great for several months ago, but it's not a reflection of where we're at as a project right now, right? So again, what do we need to do in order to, you know, get on top of it with all of these different things? So what do you guys think about that? What are your thoughts?
I saw Tatiana go off mute. I was just going to say, I think that the idea of the QR code and sort of putting it out there that we're going to start interviewing is a really, I think, probably really attractive if people saw that, where it's like we're more so like giving this opportunity and it's not so much work on their end to ask questions. And, you know, it's more so like, here, you know, apply here or fill out this quick form and you could have an interview. And I think that could potentially be really attractive to people that are really busy. Like, oh, well, they're interviewing, like, I'll, you know, have an interview and learn more in that context. I think is a good idea.
Yeah, and along those lines, how do we pre-qualify them better also, right? Because we don't want to have interviews be like the first pre-qualification of people, right? We need to make sure we're using, especially if it's going to be me interviewing them, using that time valuably, right? And we want to make sure that we have a pretty high closing percentage of people that show up for an interview that are going to become a part of the project. So, so what kind of pre-qualifications can we go through with them? Excuse me. In terms of like, maybe something like, we've developed this really short survey for those of you that are, you know, interested in a practicum for next semester, interested in a capstone for next semester, interested in just a volunteer opportunity for next semester. You know, those of you that are, I don't even know what all the things are, but we somehow, how can we have them understanding what you just said, not to give them a lot of work, but to give them a way to express some level of interest, to know that it's worth our time for us to be interviewing them, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. I think some type, like you said before, like some sort of contact form or something that asks, you know, qualifying questions, you know, major amount of hours that would be available, like things like that. Like what team they might be interested in, what are their win-wins, like stuff like that, I think would be good. And then we can sort of skim through it. And, you know, if we find somebody that is only available 1 hour, 1 day a week, like sort of having that information up front, like you said, so that we aren't using time for somebody that probably wouldn't be a good fit.
Yeah, and I think that's important. And I think also, like, what can we share with them that's really going to, you know, get them excited? I think that's one of the real keys for us right now. Like, you know, there's certain things that we're tuning into. Like, I think, I forget if it was Tatiana or maybe it was one other of you, I forget, I apologize, wrote something along the lines of, you know, we understand that there's a bunch of different demands, so we're flexible with schedule, you know, type of thing. Maybe you wrote that, Isa, too, in the QR code, in the chat. You know, find us honing in, like, what are our major selling points? Maybe that's the best way of putting it, right? Like, what are our top 5 selling points to students that has students be like, oh, this is awesome. Like, this is what I'm looking for, right? What are the distinguishing factors? And that's probably something for Amy to help us with. And also because you guys wouldn't know it unless you know, browsed around, but this is where, especially Cassidy, if you haven't done this ever or lately, but probably some others of you should go through our go through the recruitment team folder and browse through, because there is, wherever it is, I'm going to have to find it. There is a document that Emily created for us last semester of prospective questions to ask Amy specifically, because Emily was also at Ohio State University. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Has anybody seen these questions? To figure out where it is here. I'm gonna have to look more later because I'm not clearly not finding it off the bat. All right, I'll look later. But basically, Emily created like a whole bunch of questions that, because we were talking about, again, setting up this meeting with Amy last semester. And so she created all these prospective questions to ask Amy and even potentially send to her in advance to let her know we'd like to ask her these questions and kind of give her, advance notice to know what we'd be asking her. So let's find that, because let's, at least refer to it, if not use the questions that are in there, as a foundation, and maybe send some of that to Amy. So let me make a quick note. Maybe, well, this is part of, I can't believe I didn't cover this in the executive team meeting either. Now I'm thinking of all these things I wanted to cover. The time tracker that we're each doing in each of our teams. So one thing we want to do this week, Cassidy, is make sure that we've got all of the hours in the team accounted for on our time tracker, so that however many hours each person has, that it's divided up and designated. So can we we set up a separate time tracker for this team last week, right?
Yeah, I did. I don't think we used it yet. I put a few things in there, but it does exist.
Okay, great. And where is it?
It's under the recruitment team admin.
Okay, great.
And then it's the second one that was created by me.
Okay, great. So let's, this is where I want to add this now. So let's say Garrett 0.25, fine. I will do that, let's say tomorrow. Okay. Okay, so again, whether we do it in this actual meeting or do it after the meeting, I want to make sure that there's an alignment between all our team hours for the week. So this week we've got 11 team hours. So we should have all 11 of those hours, broken up and assigned task by task in the time tracker here. So is everybody good with that? Everybody down for that?
Mhm.
Okay, great. And then of course you'll divide them up over the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And we can even, put Saturday and Sunday on here because some people work on those days, which is fine.
Oh, sorry. I'm typing where you're
You're
typing.
gonna do that? What's that?
I was typing and you were typing at the same time, so I'll let you do it.
Okay, I was using the shortcut there. I don't know if you guys need that shortcut. Okay, cool. So great. So we've got those. Yeah, it started with Monday since our week normally starts on Monday, although we can put that at the end of it. It's fine. So, okay, good. So we've covered that. I know I kind of extra shared on where I was going, where I started with all of that from the job descriptions. So going all the way back to the job descriptions, any questions or comments or thoughts about how we get this executed? So basically we want me to reach out to Amy to ask if we're going to have this meeting, right? So we should add this to our tracker too, right? So Jared, let's call this 25. So let's say email to Soder, is it Soder Isatu at OSU. Getting that right? Is it a D or T? I can't remember that.
That's right. That's how it's written.
So we'll leave that for tomorrow as well. So I'll compose an email. We'll find the questions. I guess run the email by you guys. Let's go ahead and let's put that too. So let's say that I'm gonna feedback from team. So let's say 0.25. Solicit email feedback. Okay, and then we'll send it out to her. We'll set it up. Who here would like to be a part of that meeting on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday based on Amy's schedule? No one? Okay, not required. Just wanted to see if anyone was interested in being in on that. Okay, so I will just have the meeting with Amy then. So that makes it easier in terms of scheduling. So, okay, great. So then I'm going to get the feedback from her regarding these kinds of specialized job descriptions. So we're going to have some version to show her by then. And then in terms of the general job description, I think at this point, the way that we did it, where we have the one general job posting and then below it we have the other ones, I think is going to be our I think that's what we should submit, depending upon how quickly Amy's willing to meet. Because I don't want to wait until all the way until next week to do this general job posting. I really want to get it out there right away. I kind of feel I don't know, you guys tell me. It seems to me that the first week in November is going to be when some people are going to say, now is my time to start looking or getting on this or something like that, right? Do you guys feel like there's a whole bunch of students that this week are saying, now I'm going to start looking for my practicum for next year or something like that. So I think, you know, we need to get out there sooner rather than later so that as people are looking, they're finding us too, right? So that's where I feel like it's a real urgent kind of week for us to get this out there. So I think, let's go back. So the way we did it in here, I think, is the model for us at the moment for the, remember last semester when we posted the agents of change description, we stopped here. This was the end.
Okay.
So, but what I think we should do this next time is we should post all of this as to have all of this on the bottom of it all. Again, that's when we don't get feedback in advance. But if we get feedback and they want us to do it a different way, that's great, we will. But I think at this point, I think I'd prefer to get out this extended version with all these blurbs in it rather than the scaled back version we had last semester. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think having the individual different job descriptions will be helpful, especially when people are going through and looking for their specific interest, getting a little more information about that.
Yeah, that's great. So I think, again, right now, getting back to what you know, thank you, Tatiana. You agree we should post the entire thing. I think that we let's find the well, I had sent last week, didn't I, where the editable version of this is, because that's what I would like everybody, you know, to be contributing to and figuring out, you know, finalizing this generalized job posting. When was that? That was like Wednesday I posted that. Does anybody remember? I think it was Wednesday. Okay, so here's where I said it. Yeah, so it was Wednesday. So what I said, if you don't remember, let's send the emails first and plan to post the job postings as soon as they're ready. Please provide comments and suggestions on the job postings linked in our agenda so we can get them updated and ready to send. So that's a send. Then I put the link to the agenda because that's where we had the specific job postings, the editable ones. So I can go ahead and give you guys the link again. So here we are. So here's the job postings. So we go to this. What's the difference here between the two? Look at both of them. I don't remember what the difference between the two of them is. Okay, so this is one where we've got all the comments and everything. What's this one? Okay, so this is our final version without the comments. Okay, so what I was doing there is, see the chat. See you later, Mariana. Okay, so what I was doing here, just so you guys see, so let me share this link again. This is to our agenda for last week.
They're also in the agenda for this week again too, Jared.
Oh,
Just
you
so
did?
you know.
Oh,
Yeah,
perfect.
they're
Okay,
in there as well.
Okay, perfect. So let's just work with this week's then. So you want to put the link into the chat, Cassidy?
Yeah, I'll do that right now.
Okay, so that's great. And so then the difference between the two is that the first link here gives you the ability to see like everyone's comments and all of that, in case you want to like understand like what's been worked on. But really, it's this second version, which ended up being our final version that we sent out last. Oh, this doesn't. Oh, it does. Oh, that's it. Yeah. So this was the version that we sent out, and this is the version that we should start editing now and putting our comments on and that sort of thing, and seeing how we want to change this version to whatever we're going to send out, by the end, as soon as we can this week, basically. So that, I think, and again, so that's the non-public health, and then you've got the link to the public health where, let me pull up the one you just shared. Which of the two links that you just sent? Yeah, what are those?
The second one is the public health.
Okay, the first one's the agenda.
Oh no, the first one is the non-public health posting. Do you want me to put the agenda in there too?
Oh, I thought you were just doing the agenda. It's fine, whatever. So when I go to the public health version, yeah, so this is the one again that we want to mark up and put suggestions in and that sort of thing. So I think at this point, let's set some deadlines for feedback and comments and adjustments and all of that. And let's set some target for publishing. So I'll let you handle that, Cassidy, and decide, let the team sort out when we're going to set our deadlines for on this.
Well, we had talked about getting the public health one posted on Wednesday, correct?
Yes.
So
by Wednesday at the latest, right?
Maybe by tomorrow, by the end of the day tomorrow, everyone gets their comments, at least in the public health one, and then potentially wait to see when you hear back, or if you hear back from Amy as far as this week, and then we can decide in the chat the deadline for that one. Because you had mentioned, right, that if you aren't able to meet with her this week, then we're just going to go ahead and get that posted by Friday at the latest, sort of regardless of whether or not we hear back, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd even like to do it earlier than that. I'd like to make it Thursday at the latest for the non-public health if we can. If you guys can get feedback and everything fast enough, because I think at this point I'm comfortable if we're putting all those blurbs into the one, because we can still have that out there and then still do a separate one for video production and a separate one for computer science and that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
But at least we have one general one that's got all the blurbs in it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're both in pretty good shape too. I mean, they're very nice postings. I think just getting them updated and a little bit fine-tuned. So then
they look okay, but remember that agents have changed miserably failed for us. We didn't get like any responses. So even though it might look pretty, it didn't work. So we need to get something that's going to work.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. And I'm not even sure what we need to change to make it work, right? And that's where hopefully Amy or others can give us some feedback. But like, why was our agents of change? Why did we get no results from that? I still don't know, where we missed the mark on that.
So then I guess my main question is, if we don't know how to change it, what kind of feedback do you want us to provide that you couldn't see? Well,
that's the thing is maybe you guys, I wrote a lot of that, and I'm now accepting the fact that I was not writing things that were appealing to students. So I'm hoping that you guys have a better idea of what's appealing to you and your classmates, and then you have ideas about what it should say and how it should be and that sort of thing. Again, for sure it'll be valuable to have feedback from the career services offices themselves, but again, I'm hoping that you guys might have some insights that just didn't make it into the last ones. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so then I think maybe we say by the end of the day tomorrow for the public health, and the end of the day Wednesday for the non-public health for our feedback.
That would be great. If everyone's on board for that, I think that'd be great.
Anyone have any thoughts?
Did you say the public health one would be the end of the day tomorrow, and then non-public health one would be on end of the day on Wednesday.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that is okay.
Great.
Does that work for you too, Isa too?
Isa might be having some issues. She said she was having some issues in the executive team meeting. Can you hear us, Isa? Oh, there she is.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's okay. I'll have it done by.
Perfect. Okay, so then we have kind of a lot of deadlines this week because we also said that by Wednesday we'll have all of our companies assigned to ourselves, which shouldn't take, I don't think, more than 20 or 30 minutes at the most to do.
So I think at this point, do we want to add the reviews of those to our time tracker now? Do we want to like estimate, a half hour per job description or something like that and put those on the time tracker? Not that we have to now, but again, I'm just trying to get in this mode of, okay, we've decided that everyone's going to do this. Now let's assign a time for it and let's let people put down when they're going to be doing it.
Yeah, we could do it now, or as long as everybody just does it by the end of the night tonight, I think that would be fine too.
Yeah, if we want to get people to agree to that, that's totally fine.
Is everybody able to put in their expected time tonight so that we sort of know when these things are going to get done? Thumbs up from Tatiana. How about you, Isa too? Awesome. Okay, then we can do that.
Okay, great. And then again, reminding ourselves of how we go forward in this. And I thought about this earlier and I forgot to ask, do we have a minute taker for this meeting? I meant to remind you, Cassidy, to have Isa too. That's great. Thank you. To have that squared away. So, again, like we discussed last week, now that we're setting these assignments, that these assignments should be added to the minutes so that, when we look back at the minutes, we can see that by Monday evening, Isa and Tatiana are going to add their time for the week to the time tracker. By end of day Tuesday, public health evaluation by end of day Wednesday, non-public health evaluation. So all these things Isa should be in the assignment section of the minutes. And then we've got them all laid out in the time tracker. So does that work for you, Isa? Is everybody on board with all of that? Okay, great.
And then one thing I just wanted to sort of circle back to, because we sort of touched on it, but we didn't set a deadline for sending out the rest of our emails. I was thinking Friday, just because we have a lot of other deadlines early in the week. Does Friday work for you, Jared, to have us send the rest of them? Because I think we probably have like a little over 10 each left to send out. And going off of that, do you still want us to sort of avoid sending to those like higher, more prestigious schools for now? Or do you want us to just go ahead and reach out?
Yeah, I think, again, it would be great if we had more feedback from others so that we were more in a groove and a flow and a rapport with different schools. But yeah, at this point, I think we can't keep waiting on schools, especially the important schools, the prestigious schools and high level students that we could be attracting. I think we need to make sure that we're not missing the boat for them. So I think we need to start reaching out to them as well.
Okay, perfect. So is everyone okay with end of day Friday, getting the rest of our emails sent out to our assigned schools? Awesome. Perfect. Okay. And then we talked about the QR code. We've had this on here for a couple of weeks too, just the last thing on the agenda, Jared, and I'm not sure when the best time to go over it is, but as far as setting target numbers for career services offices, students, things like that, do you want to go over that tonight and sort of discuss that?
I think it's important for us as a team to be on the same page in terms of what our expectations are.
Mhm.
like even like as an example, in the executive team meeting tonight, Cassidy, you said something. I almost stopped you to clarify. You said something along the lines of like, we're working on recruiting these spring students, and you said, and hopefully we're going to have like an overlap with the fall students, with them. So, and I almost stopped you to say, it's not hopefully, it's like, it's a necessity. Like as a team, we need to be certain that we can't like have any even thought that like all these students leave and then like there's a couple week break and then all these new students show up. You know what I mean? Like we need to be very clear that there needs to be an overlap, which means that we need to start having students come in like, relatively quickly here, right? So I think that I think it would be good to set a target for, I don't know when you want to say, the deadline by, maybe say like how many, well, there's a lot of different ways that we could set targets for. So you guys tell me what you want to set, but what I would imagine would be something like how many, there's two things, like how many students are committed for this spring and how many students are like actively engaged in the project now, right? Like how many students have we brought on by Thanksgiving that are like actively working with us by Thanksgiving that are going to be here in the spring? I think that's probably a target that we should set. That's a number. So how many are here before Thanksgiving that'll be here in the spring? And then, maybe and that's by Thanksgiving, then maybe by December 15th or something like that, how many students we have committed for the spring. That's kind of like our starting point of students for the spring. I think those are probably the two main numbers that are in my head right now. I'm open to setting other targets for, but I think those two targets are the most important ones right now. So what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I agree that those are really important targets to set just so that we're clear on, our future and that there are overlapping members.
Yeah, and that we all are in agreement on the expectations of what we think is going to happen from the work that we're doing and that sort of thing. So let's start with the first one. Who has a number in mind that they think would be an appropriate number to say this is how many students that will add to our regular team meetings that'll be meeting in our team meetings by Thanksgiving? That will be continuing into the spring.
This is my hopeful thinking, but I think that we should have at least one member per team that will continue over, just so that it's, like per like research leadership. Oh, not research. Oh, but you get what I'm saying. But like having one person per team, just so that there's an overlap and that they have that experience and they can carry it on. So 5.
Okay. Any other thoughts from anyone else?
Yeah, I think somewhere, by Thanksgiving, I feel like we're going to blink and Thanksgiving's going to be here, but hopefully with these job postings going up, I would say somewhere in the 5 to 10 range for that would be realistic. I don't know. Are we trying to be idealistic or realistic? I guess err on the side of idealistic. It would be awesome if we could get, 10 to 15, but I think like 10 is a sweet spot. I think by Thanksgiving, if we're getting these postings up and really, interacting with the career services office and things like that, I think, 10.
Okay, and Isa too, what do you think?
I agree with Cassidy. 10 is definitely like a good number to work on. And it's more reasonable to actually work on, especially around these times where everybody's busy. So I feel like 10 is a good number. Like 10 to 15 is a good number.
Okay, I'm I'm okay with 10 as long as we're not thinking of 10 as idealistic, to be honest with you. I think that we need to think of 10 as a bare minimum, to be honest, in terms of continuity. I don't even think that's necessarily enough to have the real, I mean, it's close, but it's kind of where we're at the beginning of this semester, right? And we kind of saw how it went this semester, is that we ended up really not having the number of people on the teams that we needed to be able to operate efficiently and effectively. We were really kind of scrambling around, and too many people had to spend too much time on agenda or on minutes and all kinds of other things that I think operationally, in my mind, we need to have at least like 30 people on all our teams, across our teams, by the beginning of next semester. So if we only had 10 by the beginning of Thanksgiving, when do we think we would get more, before like January 1st? Do you guys have an expectation of, if, let's say, between Thanksgiving and January 1st, or January, let's say 10th, whenever you guys are getting back into your school, how many additional ones do you think we would add beyond the 10 from Thanksgiving to the beginning of January? What are your guys' thoughts about that? Hopefully another 10 from Tatiana. Okay. What do you think, Isaac and Cassidy?
I think we could probably get, closer to 20 additional between.
20 additional in December?
Yeah.
See, I'm kind of feeling like we were just talking about, like, most, you agree, Isaac, too? Okay. Maybe you guys are more tuned in. I'm getting the feeling that most people that really want to have an awesome internship next spring are going to be out there competing for those internships in November, and that basically by December, it's who's ever still looking like right up before the spring starts is kind of like not necessarily the top most competitive students, or at least people that are procrastinating more or something like that. You guys tell me. I'm not as tuned in as this whole process as you guys are in terms of the timing and everything. Do you guys think that there's still a lot of really quality students that are looking still in mid or late December for what they're going to be, what practicum they're going to be doing in the spring? Or do you think they're going to want to have that sorted out earlier than that?
I mean, I think that by Thanksgiving and, early December, we could have people committed, but they might not be able to necessarily join just yet because people sort of plan. Like when I plan my semester, I plan, I might be really busy with classes this semester, but next semester I have more availability for an internship, but I can't necessarily start it right then. I guess that's sort of where my thinking is coming from.
You can't necessarily start looking yet, is what you're saying?
Well, looking, yeah, but not actually, like you could commit to start at the beginning of the next semester, but potentially like, people, if they have a bunch of classes this semester and they're allotting their schedule and time to have an internship next semester, they might not be available to actually begin until the next semester. So that's my thought. We might be able to have more people actually committed, but not actually starting with us quite yet.
Yeah, I totally understand. I agree with that. What do you guys think would be a good number to have committed in advance of, let's say by January 1st, how many commits will we have for the spring? Oh, we lost IC2. Did so Tatiana, Cassidy, you guys have a thought on that? How many commits do you think that we should have by January 1st for the spring?
I mean, I still think that 30 is a good number. I think it's, possible for sure.
Okay, so saying Okay, and so the second 10 that you guys were talking about would be a second 10 that are actually in the project, helping to transition between Thanksgiving and January 1st. Is that what you guys were imagining as the second 10? And then there'd be an additional third 10 that had committed somewhere along the way that just weren't able to work with us until the start of the semester.
Yeah, I also do think that some people might still be looking for an internship in December because sometimes, with finals and lots of classes and jobs, they might not be able to start their search until they're done with their finals week because, a lot of schools have a pretty lengthy holiday break where they can spend extra time sort of researching and things. So I definitely think there's still going to be quality students left after the semester ends because people sort of have more downtime to actually look into things like this.
Okay, that's good to know. I'm heartened to hear that. I want to make sure that we're not missing the boat on all these students. So that's really good. Okay, so I think, can we say this as a team? Can we all be committed that we will do everything we can? We'll make every effort that we can to have 10 students on board in the teams working with us by Thanksgiving. We've got 10 new students for the spring that are working with us by Thanksgiving, with the intention, like Tatiana was saying, of at least 2 per team, because exactly for the reasons Tatiana was mentioning, that we need to have some continuity for each team. But we've seen over and over again, and you guys have seen it, more than we would like, that people have things pop up and then they have to go. So when it's only like 1 person per team, that is our lifeline between teams. It's too tenuous that person could go and then we don't have any continuity. So I think we need to have at least 2 people per team as an objective, and really be tuning into that and seeing how that's going and keeping track, like having a roster essentially where we're seeing, okay, we've got 2 for research, we still don't have any for outreach, we've got to go get somebody up to join our outreach team or something like that. So does that work for you guys? And then like you said, another at least minimum of 10 more that are working with us up until January 1st, or at least starting sometime between January 1st. And then, like you said, at least another 10 that are committed for the spring and can start once the spring starts. So we all on board with those numbers as minimum numbers that we as a team are going to say that we're going to get this done. We're down for that. Yes, from Cassidy. Okay, cool. I appreciate the leadership on that, Cassidy. And Tatiana. Okay, great. And Isa too. Isa too. Okay, Isa too. You'll have to let us know later. And Mariana, you're just going to have to be okay with it. Okay, Isa too. Yeah, you were going to talk.
Yeah, sorry. What was the question?
Okay.
I don't know what's wrong today with my iPad.
Yeah, the question was, are you good with committing to at least 10 students that are going to join us by Thanksgiving, that are going to join the team as a minimum expectation? 10 students, at least 10, at least 2 per team, and then another 10 between Thanksgiving and January 1st that are going to be working with us on the teams, and then at least another 10 that are going to be committed for the spring and then are going to start with us in the spring. So are you on board with being in alignment with those 3 numbers and committing to that?
So sorry, there's just a lot of background noise. So I have to commit to getting 10 people recruited by
not you personally, the team. We're committing collectively as a team, we're going to create these results.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. Okay, wonderful. That's great. I think that's important, and that gives us some targets we can really work towards now. So thank you, Cassidy, for putting that on the agenda and everybody working with it. Thank you guys for taking the extra time. I know we've gone more than an hour today, starting earlier and then still finishing up at our 8:30 time. So thank you guys for taking the extra time and everything. I'll just let me give everybody some applause. Let everybody put their applause up. Great. Great job, team. Great meeting, great progress. We're definitely doing what we need to do to hold it down for the recruitment team. So thank you, Cassidy, for the great leadership. Thank you, Tatiana, Isatu, and Mariana for all that you guys are doing. It's really great. I super appreciate it. And let me have Cassidy close it out for us.
Yeah, just echoing Jared. Thanks everybody for all your hard work, and we're just gonna keep pushing and get some more members here really soon. So I appreciate you all working hard and yeah, staying committed. Thank you.
Awesome. Great.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night. See you later.
Bye, everyone.